Welcome back to Sister Scoop, where we are running through 3 big Marvel news things as they come out this week. And let's just get to the most exciting one, which is the Fantastic Four little teaser trailer that we got.
I'm so glad you turned it to me right away. I am just like, they announced the day before that it was going to come out. They're doing the whole GMA thing, right? Interesting timing considering they're choosing to do it 10 days or so before a big release, but whatever. I'm not their promo team, so I'll let it be because I'm excited to have it. But oh my goodness, this teaser looks incredible. I mean, the 60s vibe that we're getting, the way that they're so established in the universe, I think is going to be super interesting. I think that there's going to be an interesting flashback to how they get their powers, but it's clearly not going to be, the crux of the story. I think we all kind of guessed that, knowing that they've done it so many times, but I like that they're not going to completely omit it like they did with Spider-Man, taking a slightly different route. So, I mean, you guys know Pedro Pascal, he's my man. Like, the scenes he had with Vanessa Kirby as, like, Sue and Mr. Fantastic, I just was like, you guys, the chemistry between Sue and Reed was top tier. I can't even, like, explain how, like, we would be doing the entire Sister Scoop episode for me to name all of the things that I was excited about in this trailer. I'm going to stop here and let Caitlin actually take a breath and, like, speak, but just know that this made my week. It really did.
I'm shocked you're going to actually stop talking on this subject.
I'm really trying to control myself.
Well, I appreciate having some time to take the mic here. But I have to say, I was really enjoying it, watching just a little bit. I think it's such an interesting take on the Fantastic Four, and it's different than what we've had. And come on, guys, it's Marvel's first family. Like, let's be real. This is Marvel really getting to do it for the first time ever. And I think it's magical to me to even be able to do it, let alone you have amazing actors. And let's be honest, Marvel rides the, like, no name bus. We would not be where we were if they didn't pull in a bunch of people, like, over the years that just were not who they are now. Like, even the biggest example being Chris Hemsworth. Like, literally, I think of that headline where it was like, Marvel hires or casts a bunch of nobodies for their newest film, and it was Thor. Like, it was Thor.
Yeah.
I think about things like that, and I know we ride a bunch of nobodies to where we are now. But, and I say that with love, but this, like, obviously, but this cast is stacked in such a good way. And I think, to your point, you pointed out the chemistry. I love personally The Thing, the comic accurate version of him. He doesn't look like just a man in a mask. He looks like what he looked like in the comics. And that just, like, tickles my heart. I know a lot of us had questions about how, Johnny was going to look. He looks great to me.
He does,
I mean, I'm very excited to see what he look like, more of his personality and thing. I think it's really exciting. I'm excited for the 60s vibe. I'm excited just to see how they get brought in further. There's so much excitement. Like, I just don't have words for it. It was good. It was so good.
Yeah.
Okay. We can't stay on this topic.
I feel like we could gush for, like, the whole rest of the episode.
I know. This is, like, its own separate thing. But we have to move on to our next one, which is actually an update to kind of something we talked about a couple weeks back, which is the possible recasting of T'Challa in the MCU.
Yeah, so it is interesting because one of the producers on Black Panther 3, which I guess we're, like, officially confirmed now. Thank you for spilling that. He has come out and basically said, like, hey, all of these reports that, are talking about us really, considering seriously that we're going to recast T'Challa, they're not real. We haven't even started working on this movie because Ryan Coogler's doing other stuff. So It didn't sound like they were saying, hey, we're not doing this ever. It was just, we haven't even had these conversations. So kind of an interesting line to walk in that, we may have taken a little bit of a leap, we might be further down than they really are, but we're not necessarily off base in the sense that it is not off the table.
Yeah, I think the main thing I have to add here is when you were talking previously and covering the topic, you mentioned the possibility of Black Panther 3 actually dealing with another T'Challa. And that was kind of where I think we both discussed that, really drawing the line. And the reason I bring that up is because while this news is not I want to say shocking. That's not the word. This isn't new news to me, though. The fact that they're like, no, we're not even that far. I don't believe that's not true, but I don't believe that's true as well. I think it's the fact that it's not going to happen in Black Panther 3. That's what I read between the lines here, which is
Yeah.
what I appreciate. I do think it's going to happen in Secret Wars. I think, as much as we say it, but it's the golden meal ticket for pretty much any problem that Marvel has faced at all at this point, especially in
Yeah.
the multiverse saga. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's your gateway. It's your opportunity if that's what you're going to do. Even when we were talking about aging up young T'Challa, again, Secret Wars or a time jump involving Secret Wars, it was still the golden meal ticket. So I think no matter how they do it, it's going to use that. But I think reading between the lines, I see this more as saying, no, we don't plan to do this for Black Panther 3. We are going to finish this trilogy with whoever we have, in this case, likely being Shuri, and that's what we want to do. We're not in the place to recast for this specific movie. That's how I read that.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart take because I think too, as a fandom, I think we're all kind of, well, we're never all in agreement, but I think the majority consensus is probably that, she really hasn't been Black Panther for very long. Even it took her a while in the second movie to really embrace the mantle. We saw her go through that emotional journey, and she deserves her opportunity to own the mantle in the third film, and it would do that character and Letitia Wright a real disservice to not be able to play that out and see her own that character. She's a great actress. She could
Yeah.
absolutely own that role, and we've seen a bit of what she can do, and she was great.
Yeah.
So it's not that she didn't earn it. It's not that she didn't do a good job. She absolutely did, and she deserves to have a full movie where she can continue to explore the depths of that character. So I'm hoping that's kind of where their head is at. I think Ryan Coogler is such a smart storyteller that I would imagine that's where he's at. I don't know the guy, but he's really narratively minded. You can tell, watch his films.
Yeah.
So I think that from that perspective, I could definitely see to what you're saying that they're not closing the door. It's just not going to be Black Panther 3. When we start talking about the future of the franchise beyond that film, then anything is on the table.
Exactly. That's the line I read. But let's move on to our last topic. And this one we've also been covering, and we'll probably have 17 more updates on it as time goes on.
Probably
But
more.
yeah, honestly. But we have some rumored casting, and actually, maybe before we get there, we have some rumored timing for X-Men, which I don't believe in, but I'm going to drop it really quick that supposedly we're going to get an X-Men film by 2027. I don't
No.
believe that for a second. First off, we don't even know if Secret Wars is going to be like on time. So
I know.
let's not even, that's like, my first reaction to that as a Marvel fan was, Marvel, you do know that's 2 years away, right? Like, you're aware we're in 2025?
Yeah, I think to the timing piece, right now it's Doomsday 26. Isn't it Doomsday 26, Secret Wars 27? That's
Pretty sure.
That's
That's
the
why I
current
was like,
slate.
there's no way they're dropping X-Men in the exact same year.
No, that's like putting Infinity War and Endgame in the same calendar year. You just don't do it. It's like you're literally cannibalizing your own air. Like, not that they can't have two big films, but like to do two films that are going to be that popular in the same year, like, you got to spread them out, dude.
It's
like,
nuts. And
there also needs to be films in between that set things up. Like, no.
And I think the issue for me too is like, just a friendly reminder, you're like starting a whole new saga, not a phase, a saga. So like
they took a break.
Maybe,
like, where's the
breather.
break?
Take a breather. Maybe not. Also, like, again, 2 years. I don't make movies every day, but I feel like we're hitting some deadlines already if you want a film to come out in 2027. So that's one half of this, though. What we've been talking about is the rumored casting. Now, we already talked about Sadie Sink possibly being Jean Grey. That's not new news. But we do have some new names kind of popping up for two other pretty prominent characters. Obviously, the first I'm going to cover is Scott Summers, because across from Jean Grey, Harris Dickinson. Now, I love this because I love this man. He was in Iron Claw, and I absolutely love that movie. If you guys have never seen it, please, please, please watch it. It has Zac Efron in it. But seriously, so good. I love this man as an actor. And it once again seems to be reinforcing, if this is true, we are going much younger for the X-Men.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I feel like age-wise, they're kind of in the same bracket as they did with Sophie Turner, but maybe down just a couple of years. Like, it's not
Yeah.
that far off from that particular iteration of them. I have not seen Iron Claw, but I will say, just looking at a picture of him, he has that very traditionally attractive look, which I think Scott Summers has had in every iteration that he's had in live action. Even if you look at, who he is in the comics, like he's very Mr. Square Jaw with the cheekbones, and like he has that kind of perfect masculine face, and you need to be able to wear the goggles with authority. And I think he
True.
has the face
True.
to be able to do that. So just from looks alone, I'll have to check out Iron
Please
Claw
do.
if he does get cast, and just see kind of his book of work. But from looks alone, I can endorse this. I can get behind it.
Well, I really love him. Just for the record, but because if he does get big in X-Men, by the way, I'm putting it on the record that like been here since Iron Claw. But another update, Julia Butters possibly as Kitty Pryde. Now this one's kind of interesting because we have had Kitty Pryde.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, I would say, the most prominent of the roles in all the X-Men so far. So this would be interesting if this is one that we actually might have a casting for already as well. Not to mention, Kitty Pryde is typically quite a few years younger than Jean and Cyclops, so it is a little interesting to me that it seems actually that they might be in the same age range.
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting character. Like you mentioned, she was not a very prominent character. She's interesting because she brings, if I'm remembering correctly, she brings Wolverine into the X-Men. They come in together. So they kind of have, am I thinking of someone else?
Doesn't he come in with Rogue?
You're right. I'm definitely confusing her with Rogue. See, that's how minuscule this character was. That I was
No,
like, oh,
she was the one who did the whole Days of Future Past and helped send him back.
yes.
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 Yes. Elliot Page, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now we're there now. Sorry.
Okay.
See, this is what we mean. Like, this character had such a small role that you can like interchange her with other characters.
I mean, I couldn't personally, but sure.
Look, I struggle. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's just the end of the sentence. I struggle. 2 words. But I do think, it is a really interesting character, if I'm remembering correctly. And I don't know why this factoid stuck in my head and the fact of who she was in the film didn't. But I'm pretty sure she's married to Peter Quill in the comics. So I would actually really like that storyline to play out. And she's pretty significantly younger than Chris Pratt, which
That's
is
where
kind
I
of
was
a
gonna.
problem.
Yeah.
But, maybe if they do a time jump, or I don't know. But that is kind of disappointing because I think that that's an interesting and unexpected pairing that doesn't often get a lot of airtime. I mean, Kitty isn't even really in, I don't even think, the original animated series at all. She maybe is in an episode or 2. I can't confirm that because it's like 100 episodes and I watched them in 2 months. But I feel like we never got her really as a character. If we did, it was not in the main cast at all. So she's a character who hasn't gotten a lot of runtime in any medium. And I just think that's a really interesting way to tie her into what is happening in the larger MCU. Again, that age gap does make it awkward and uncomfortable. Yeah. There are time jumps. I don't know. And this isn't even a confirmed cast. I just want to point that out, that is a feature of her character as well, or something she does in the comics.
I would say my bigger thing is, so far the rumored cast is definitely, as I said, skewing younger, which is not a bad thing. But I do think she's a very interesting character to be possibly the third one we might have casted. Like, I think that's very interesting. Like, I was not shocked to have a possible Jean Grey or to have a possible Scott Summers. Hello, they're your like literal mutant, like perfect
figureheads.
Double. Yeah, like you couldn't get better with those. Like, I'd be more shocked if I had a casting for Gambit. Like, that would shock me.
Yeah.
I'm thrown off, though, that she's possibly the third one casted. So we'll have to see. I don't really know Julia Butters. I don't know anything of what she's been in. I would have to kind of look into it just to get a feel. But update to possible casting for X-Men, we will see. But again, does look like it's skewing younger. So we will have to just wait and keep an eye out for what that looks like. But In the meantime, this has been this week's Sister Scoop. Come back next week as we cover 3 more Marvel topics as they come out. And also make sure you guys are listening to the podcast as we are covering Captain America: Brave New World. See you guys next week. Bye.